Could the vegetable on your plate be the reason your legs feel weaker every day? No, it's not fried food, not dessert. It's a vegetable you probably believe is healthy. Sounds hard to believe, right? But certain vegetables, yes, even the ones we've been told to eat more of, may be silently damaging your immune system, speeding up brain aging, and gradually robbing you of your mobility as you get older. A long-term study published in the Journal of Gerontology found that seniors who regularly ate the wrong types of vegetables experienced more joint pain, poorer circulation, and a much higher risk of falls. The #1 cause of fatal injury for people over 65. So, what are the 3 vegetables you absolutely should eat every single day to support your brain, your strength, and your balance? And which 3 should you avoid at all costs? Stick with me until the end, because I'll reveal a shocking truth about one everyday vegetable that may actually help strengthen your legs and reduce diabetes-related complications in older adults. This might be the most important nutrition tip you hear all year, especially if you want to stay active, independent, and in control of your health. If you care about your health and want more science-backed tips like this, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. And tell me in the comments below, have you ever noticed your body reacting strangely to certain veggies? I'd love to hear your story. 3 vegetables the elderly should avoid. #1. Eggplant, the silent inflammator, sabotaging your joints and mobility. After age 60, the human body enters a phase where even seemingly harmless foods can have surprising effects. Among these is eggplant, a vegetable praised for being low in calories, high in fiber, and rich in color. But for older adults, especially those with joint issues or nerve sensitivity, eggplant may not be as innocent as it appears. Beneath its glossy purple skin lies a naturally occurring compound called solanine. While harmless to many, solanine has been known to trigger inflammatory responses in people with heightened sensitivity. It's particularly concerning for older adults whose immune systems may already be compromised or whose bodies are dealing with chronic conditions like arthritis, neuropathy, or joint stiffness. A 2021 study published in Frontiers in Immunology observed that dietary intake of solanine-rich vegetables, including eggplant, could exacerbate low-grade systemic inflammation in older individuals, especially those with pre-existing inflammatory conditions. The research emphasized that while solanine is not inherently dangerous for healthy people, it may contribute to joint discomfort and reduced mobility in vulnerable populations. Many seniors report subtle discomfort after eating meals containing eggplant, increased knee pain, morning stiffness, or a heaviness in the legs. Over time, this discomfort can quietly build into something more serious: slowed circulation, reduced mobility, and even balance issues that raise the risk of falls. Unlike some plant toxins that break down during cooking, solanine remains fairly stable under heat. Whether grilled, roasted, or stewed, eggplant still carries the potential to irritate aging joints and tissues when consumed regularly. The impact may not be immediate, but it can be cumulative. From a practical standpoint, reducing eggplant in your meals is a smart move if you've noticed pain flares or swelling after certain dishes. Many seniors have found relief simply by cutting back and switching to gentler vegetables like zucchini or ripe red tomatoes, which offer similar textures without the same inflammatory potential. Eating well in your golden years isn't just about nutrients. It's about listening to your body, recognizing patterns, and adjusting accordingly. And sometimes it turns out that the quietest foods cause the biggest problems. #2. Green bell pepper, the hidden spark of silent inflammation. Green bell peppers are everywhere, in salads, stir-fries, breakfast omelets. Their bright color and satisfying crunch make them seem like an obvious health food. But there's a lesser-known side to them that deserves attention, especially as we age. These peppers contain lectins, naturally occurring plant proteins that can, in some individuals, disrupt digestion and trigger inflammation at a low but persistent level. For older adults, whose digestive lining may already be more delicate, lectins can become irritants. They may subtly affect how nutrients are absorbed and how the immune system responds to food. The result? That slight swelling in the joints, that vague sense of fatigue after eating, that nagging ache that seems to show up without reason. A 2020 review in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences highlighted how lectin-rich foods may activate pro-inflammatory pathways in individuals with compromised gut integrity, particularly common in aging populations. The research noted that although the effects are not universal, a subset of older adults may experience worsening joint symptoms, gastrointestinal discomfort, or systemic fatigue after prolonged exposure to certain dietary lectins, including those found in green bell peppers. What makes this especially frustrating is that green bell peppers don't always trigger strong, immediate symptoms. Instead, they may work silently, building over time, a small daily spark of irritation that eventually lights a quiet fire in the gut or the joints. Compared to their fully ripened red or yellow counterparts, green peppers offer fewer antioxidants, which means fewer protective benefits against the aging process. Their flavor might be sharper, but their impact may be harder on the body. Cooking them helps a little, but not enough to neutralize their lectin content entirely, especially for those with pre-existing sensitivities. The good news? This isn't about giving up flavor. Switching to red bell peppers, which are riper, sweeter, and richer in anti-inflammatory compounds, is an easy change with a big payoff. Many seniors find that even a small substitution like this improves how they feel after meals. Lighter, more energized, and less stiff in the hours that follow. As with many things in life, the smallest decisions, like which color of bell pepper you add to your meal, can lead to the biggest differences, especially when those decisions are made with your future mobility, comfort, and clarity in mind. And just as this vibrant green vegetable may not be the innocent ally we assume it is, there are others, starchy, familiar, and well-loved, that may be doing even more damage behind the scenes. What if that creamy, comforting side dish you've trusted for years is slowly sapping your strength? Let's dig deeper. Number 3. Potatoes, the comfort food that quietly weakens strength and stability. White potatoes are often viewed as harmless, even nutritious. They're a good source of potassium and offer some fiber when eaten with the skin. But what they also bring, especially in large portions, is a high glycemic load. In simple terms, this means they break down quickly into sugar in the bloodstream, causing blood glucose to spike and fall in a rapid cycle that taxes the body's systems. For someone in their 30s or 40s, this might just lead to a short-lived energy crash. But for those over 60, these spikes have deeper implications. Repeated blood sugar fluctuations contribute to inflammation, accelerate arterial stiffening, and can impair circulation, particularly to the legs, feet, and brain. The result? Colder limbs, slower healing, numbness, and eventually, compromised mobility. A 2022 study published in Nutrients confirmed that high glycemic diets, including frequent intake of refined starches like white potatoes, are associated with reduced vascular elasticity and increased markers of oxidative stress in aging adults. The researchers highlighted that even non-diabetic seniors showed signs of impaired microcirculation and nerve sensitivity after habitual consumption of such foods. What's more, this blood sugar roller coaster puts stress on nerves, especially in the lower extremities. This is one reason why diabetic neuropathy often begins in the feet. Even for seniors without diabetes, frequent consumption of starchy white potatoes can exacerbate nerve sensitivity and contribute to that uncomfortable pins and needles sensation, or a weakening in stride that seems to come out of nowhere. And there's another layer: how potatoes are typically prepared. mashed with butter and cream, fried in oil, drenched in salt. These additions may make them more delicious, but they also magnify the cardiovascular burden, especially in people already managing high blood pressure or cholesterol. A simple side dish becomes a hidden threat, not because of one meal, but because of repetition over months and years. Of course, this doesn't mean all root vegetables are off the table. Quite the opposite. Sweet potatoes offer a far better alternative, rich in fiber, vitamin A, and antioxidants that actively fight inflammation. Roasted carrots, turnips, or even cauliflower mash can provide that same comfort food feeling without sending blood sugar into chaos. For many seniors, making the switch from white to sweet potatoes or from fries to oven-roasted veggies is a turning point. It's not about giving up tradition. It's about adapting tradition to suit a body that needs a little more care and a little less burden. And while potatoes are a symbol of comfort and familiarity, they may also be a quiet reason for chronic fatigue, weak legs, or that occasional unsteadiness that becomes harder to explain with time. What we eat isn't just fuel, it's information. It tells the body what to repair, how to respond, and when to rest. With that in mind, maybe it's time to look more closely at the foods that feel the most familiar, and ask whether they're truly serving us now in this season of life. Because just like with green peppers and eggplant, the foods we trust the most sometimes carry the biggest surprises. Still watching? Finding this helpful? Drop a 777 in the comments so I know you're with me. Hit that follow button. Part 2 is coming up next. 3 vegetables seniors should eat daily. Number 1. Broccoli. The anti-aging armor. It doesn't look like much, just another green on the plate. But don't let its simplicity fool you. Broccoli has quietly earned its place as one of the best vegetables for people over 60. It's not trendy or flashy, but it's doing the kind of work that really counts, protecting your bones, keeping your balance steady, and helping your body fight the slow creep of aging. What makes broccoli so unique is a natural compound called sulforaphane. It may sound like something from a science lab, but it's simply a powerful phytochemical found in cruciferous vegetables, especially broccoli, that helps the body protect and repair itself. Sulforaphane is known for fighting chronic inflammation, which is often called the silent killer of aging. It gradually wears down your joints, narrows your blood vessels, weakens your muscles, and dulls your thinking. But broccoli isn't just fighting inflammation, it's building strength from the inside out. It delivers vitamin K and calcium, 2 nutrients your bones desperately need as you get older. After 65, bones become more fragile. A simple stumble could mean a serious fracture, weeks of recovery, or worse. Regular servings of broccoli help reinforce your skeletal structure while supporting your arteries, reducing the risk of calcification, a major contributor to heart disease. And there's more. Broccoli also supports circulation, especially in your legs and feet, places where older adults often suffer from coldness, numbness, or weakness. Healthy blood flow in these areas doesn't just make walking easier, it helps protect your balance, reaction time, and even your risk of diabetic complications. In short, better circulation means a better quality of life. Of course, how you prepare it matters. Light steaming for just a few minutes is ideal. It keeps the nutrients intact while making it easier to digest. Boiling it to mush, that's a quick way to lose most of its benefits. You want it to be bright, vibrant, and a little firm, just like your goal for your own health. A small cup of steamed broccoli every day might not seem like much, but over weeks and months, it can act as a quiet foundation, fueling stronger legs, sharper focus, and a healthier heart. It's not just food, it's a way of voting for strength with every bite. And while broccoli may be your body's green armor, it's not the only one. There's another leafy vegetable, often overlooked, that could be working behind the scenes to energize your heart, support your memory, and power the muscles that carry you through the day. Curious? Let's explore it next. Number 2. Spinach, the hidden engine behind strength and mental clarity. Some vegetables whisper their power rather than shout it. They don't stand out in the grocery aisle, and they rarely get the spotlight in cookbooks or TV ads. But ask any nutritionist or doctor who works with aging adults, and they'll tell you. Spinach is one of the smartest foods you can eat after 60. At first glance, it's just another leafy green. But under the surface, spinach contains nutrients that fuel the brain, feed the muscles, and support your body's natural circulation system in ways few other vegetables can match. One of its best-kept secrets is its high content of natural dietary nitrates, compounds that help open blood vessels and improve the flow of oxygen and nutrients throughout the body. This matters more than you might think. As we age, blood flow becomes less efficient. That means less oxygen reaching the brain, slower reflexes, and muscles that fatigue more quickly. But spinach helps to counteract that decline by keeping your vessels more elastic and your blood moving smoothly. Better circulation equals better balance, sharper thinking, and more confident movement. Spinach also stands out for what it offers the brain. It's packed with folate and lutein, nutrients that support memory, processing speed, and cognitive sharpness. Research has shown that older adults who consume more lutein tend to perform better on cognitive tasks, and even retain more independence later in life. A handful of spinach each day is like a gentle tune-up for your mind. But the benefits don't stop there. Eye health, one of the most vulnerable areas as we age, also gets a boost. Spinach contains zeaxanthin and lutein, two pigments that protect the retina and lower the risk of age-related macular degeneration, a leading cause of vision loss in older adults. Seeing clearly isn't just about reading or watching TV. It's about recognizing faces, driving safely, and moving through life with confidence. Cooking matters, as always. Light sautéing or blending spinach into a smoothie keeps its valuable nutrients intact. Avoid heavy boiling, which can rob it of many of the compounds that make it so effective. A simple handful in your breakfast omelet, a green base in your lunch salad, or even blended into a mild green juice, all are small actions that can lead to big, lasting benefits. Spinach may not wear a cape, but it works quietly behind the scenes, supporting your legs as you walk, your mind as you focus, and your eyes as you take in the world. One small serving each day can ripple into clearer thoughts, stronger steps, and a deeper sense of vitality. And just when you think you've discovered the full lineup of helpful vegetables, there's another one, vividly colored, often sitting right on your kitchen counter, that holds an unexpected secret weapon in the battle against aging. Not just for your vision or your strength, but for your balance, posture, and ability to stay grounded. Literally. Could this bright orange root be what your body has been missing? Let's explore. Number 3. Carrots, the silent guardians of vision, balance, and vitality. Some of the most powerful protectors of your health don't arrive in a pill bottle or carry a scientific-sounding name. They grow quietly in the soil, wrapped in simplicity and color. Carrots, for example, may not strike you as anything extraordinary, but for those over 60, they are among the most consistent allies in protecting your vision, balance, and overall vitality. This orange root is best known for its richness in beta-carotene, which your body converts into vitamin A, an essential nutrient for eye health. But what makes it matter even more for seniors is how much vision quietly determines independence. Being able to see well doesn't just help you enjoy the color of a sunset or recognize a grandchild's smile. It helps you avoid dangerous falls, read your medication labels, and navigate stairs with confidence. Numerous studies have linked regular intake of beta-carotene to a slower progression of age-related macular degeneration, a common cause of vision loss later in life. And in each crisp bite of carrot lies the possibility of clearer days and a steadier tomorrow. Yet carrots protect more than eyesight. They also help safeguard something often taken for granted, balance. As we age, our neuromuscular coordination becomes more vulnerable. The connection between brain and muscle, especially in the legs, can slow, making movements feel less sure. Carrots, rich in antioxidants and potassium, help preserve the nerves and vessels responsible for keeping those signals sharp and responsive. The result? Firmer steps, better posture, less hesitation, even your metabolism benefits. Carrots are high in fiber and naturally low in sugar, making them excellent for stabilizing blood glucose and supporting digestive health. Two areas that often weaken with age. When your digestion is smooth and your energy is steady, everyday tasks feel lighter, not heavier. Perhaps best of all, carrots are wonderfully easy to enjoy. You can eat them raw for a satisfying crunch, steam them lightly to unlock their natural sweetness, or blend them into smoothies for a gentle nutrient boost. Just 1 or 2 carrots a day can help build a quiet shield around your senses, your strength, and your daily confidence. The beauty of carrots lies in their consistency. They don't need to be flashy. They don't claim miracle cures, but they show up bite by bite to support the systems that matter most. They offer a quiet promise to help you stay sharp, steady, and active through the years ahead. Still, not all vegetables are as kind. While carrots work in your favor, others, though common and trusted, may actually be silently undermining your strength, slowing circulation, and draining the energy you rely on to move freely. Could one of them be in your kitchen right now? Let's take a closer look. Choosing the right vegetables isn't just about nutrition. It's about protecting the very things that keep us free. The legs that carry us, the heart that sustains us, and the mind that defines who we are. At this stage in life, making small, smart choices about what we eat can mean the difference between independence and limitation, energy and exhaustion, clarity and confusion. This isn't just about avoiding the wrong foods. It's about honoring your body, the years you've lived, and the life you still have the power to shape. In my years of working with older adults and listening to their stories, one truth keeps showing up. Aging well isn't about chasing miracles. It's about consistency, self-awareness, and quiet dedication. No pill, no doctor, no new gadget can replace the benefits of wise daily nourishment. It may seem small to swap a starchy side for a roasted vegetable, or to choose spinach over something inflammatory. But these small things ripple outward, helping you walk without pain, think with clarity, and live without relying on others. They protect your laughter, your travels, your independence, and your ability to keep dreaming. Every meal is a message to your body. Every bite is a vote for strength or struggle. While we can't control everything that comes with age, we can choose to show up for ourselves in ways that matter. The road to a stronger, freer, more vibrant life after 60 isn't complicated. It's built with care, with mindfulness, and most of all, with love for the life that's still ahead. Now it's your turn. What's one thing you've learned today that you're ready to put into action? Share it in the comments so we can all learn and grow together. And if you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss more science-backed, heart-centered health tips like this. Because living well isn't about luck, it's about the choices we make, one plate at a time.